Hey, how's it going? So I wanted to make a quick update in what I've been up to, and the reason why I wanted to do it now is two reasons. I think I've just about hit the 6 month mark, and also I've just finished my first book in Chinese today, which was The Linguist by Steve Calvin, which was very good read actually. Um, so yeah, I want to just quickly go over what I've been doing, what my goals were before, what my goals are for the future, and then go over a bit of where I think I am in different areas in terms of like listening, reading, speaking, and in general in class. So I think, what I was doing before is I had the goal to I downloaded several documentary movie subtitles off Netflix, and you can download the subtitles as an SRT file. Convert it to text and import it into link and read it as a text file on there and look up all the words you don't know. So I did that a while ago. I think that was about a month ago, and then after that I went through and I read through various documentary subs, and I created a list of sentences I wanted to learn from the subtitle file, and got my friend to record audio for 3 documentaries: Cowspiracy, What the Health, and Forks Over Knives. So then I had a big list of sentences with audio that I then put on. I haven't put all of them into Anki yet, but I'm process of putting them into Anki and doing it as reading cards and dictation cards, so that listening and writing down what the sentence is. Now, after I hadn't actually done much dictation by that point, so I realised some of the ones I picked were too long, so I've mistaken a few of them out, but that's what I did. And then maybe a few weeks back I decided I should start reading more on my Kindle, and I've just finished using this to go through Steve's book. And to be honest, I have heard a lot of people say in the past how good Kindle was for reading compared to on your phone and computer, and I never actually paid much attention to it much before, because I just thought, it can't be that much of a difference, right? But I have to say, compared to before when I was reading on my phone, I can read for an hour on this in Chinese and it still doesn't, my eyes don't feel tired or anything. And before, I remember when I was going through Cantonese, by the time I got to an hour, my eyes were starting to feel really sleepy and tired, and just I had to take a break. But I haven't got that problem with this. Normally if I get tired, it's to do with mental fatigue, not my eyes getting tired. And I think the cool thing about Kindle as well is you can say I don't know a word, you can literally just highlight it. So I'm just going to show you here. So if you just highlight a random word, and you can see, you just hover over with your thumb, you can look up the pinyin and the English definition for it. And also, if you want to send whole sentences, if you'd take a sentence mining approach, you can literally just hover your thumb across and select whole sentences at a time. And when they're highlighted like this, you plug it in to the computer and you can send all the sentences, all your notes across in one go. So that's super easy. And I think what I've been taking basically the approach of, I'm not going to look up too much, so maybe look up a few, maybe 2-3 words per page, and then if anything seems important I'll highlight it, or if anything I look up, and the dictionary on the Kindle is not great for traditional Chinese, so if I look it up and it's unclear or whatever, or I look it up and I'm still not sure what it means but I think it's important, I'll highlight it, and then after I finish reading I can just plug it into my computer and then go through a little bit more after that. So yeah, that was really good. So I think what I'm planning on going forward is, and I think as well actually, now I've just finished, I've been doing a lot of reading recently. I've noticed in class specifically my grades and stuff, and I think my ability to just in general express myself in the last month has gone up significantly, even since I've posted my 6th month progress video a few weeks ago. So I think that's really, really cool. And what I'm planning on doing next month is, so I wanna read more, but for now, so I said I've made sentence cards from documentaries before. I've got 30 cards left from Cowspiracy. I've got 110 cards left from What the Health, and I've got 80 left from Forks Over Knives. So that's about 220 total, and that's 110 notes with 220 cards. So remember, each note has 2 cards, one's dictation and one's reading. So basically I'm going to replace my focus study time. I think for the rest of the month, I'm going to basically replace reading with just going through flashcards and dictation, and I'll be going through and I'll be writing out in my notebook here the sentences and the ones that are dictation anyway, and then doing the listening. So I think it seems doable, like on average 12 cards a day. But I think compared to most sentence mining, I think it's probably a bit harder because there's also dictation cards, and I think it takes a lot longer than just the normal comprehension cards. But that's my plan anyway, so I'm going to go through, I think, and really try to push, because I've kind of had I've been going through a little bit every now and again, my Anki piles up a bit, and then I say I can't be bothered to do any new cards today, so I'll just leave it, and then I'll say I'll do some the next day. So I just want to get through these pile of cards, and What the Health and Forks Over Knives are going to have a lot of relevant medical and nutrition terminology, I think. So then I'm going to there's actually a Chinese dub for What the Health on Netflix, and I watched a bit before, and I understood maybe 40% at best, So I'm going to go through a lot of these cards after, and then hopefully I have at least some of the basic words, cholesterol, heart disease, cancer, diabetes, whatever I can use to try and understand more of what's going on in the film. And then I'm thinking, because I don't get that much exposure to nutrition-related vocab, so I'm thinking maybe after that, either could just watch the documentary periodically, which probably wouldn't be the most interesting way, or might look for some nutrition-related podcasts in Chinese if anyone can, or YouTube channels if anyone can recommend me that. So if anyone knows, then please let me know. So after I've gone through this month, then after that I'm planning on going back to reading again. And the book I'm planning on going over next is this one, Sharful, and I think the English name is A Butcher's Wife. So this is really, really short. I've got the Kindle to help me out, and I think the whole book's about 120 pages, so it's really, really short, and there's about 10 chapters in, and the first one was only like 4 pages long. I think I had a quick look, the ones after are a little bit longer, like maybe 10 pages or something. So the chapters are really short, and I think I can easily get through a chapter a day in that, and maybe so that wouldn't be a whole month's goal. That would just kick me off, and then after that maybe I'll pick a different book. I've got some other free books lined up from howdo.com that I've downloaded for free, and I might go through them. Maybe the Da Vinci Code, maybe I've had a look. There's some other ones that I've written down on my list that are on my radar that I might go through as well, but I'm not 100% sure yet. So for now it's clear through the cards, then read Sharful, and then I think there's actually a TV show as well to go with the book. So when I read the book, I'll watch the TV series after. Just give me all the words I need to understand most of it. So I think speaking about TV, I'm going to say roughly where my level is now, I guess. I'd actually say with no subtitles, the average romance or horror drama, I can understand most of it. Maybe 90%. And there's still quite a lot of words come up that I don't know, and there's still they have all sorts of 4-character idioms that come up every now and again that I know very little of, so that's still quite a bit of a struggle. But I'd say the stuff that's coming up that I'm not understanding, I don't think it's impinging too much on understanding the plot of the show. It might mean I miss some of the subtlety, miss some of the stuff here and there, but that's fine. I think when you first start trying to watch TV in a new language and you don't understand very much, you can understand so little, it's very hard to pay attention, and you can feel really, really sleepy, and that you just kind of, before you know it, you've zoned out and you're daydreaming about whatever, and you're on but the episode's already gone and you have no idea what's even happened. That's an experience I have a lot in the beginning, but I think I've passed that stage now to the point where I can at least enjoy most of it. So get an idea for some other stuff, I watched Death Note, again the Chinese dub for that with no subtitles, and I think I understood, I'd say maybe somewhere between 80 and 90% of that, I think. But I guess I've I've watched that before in English and Cantonese, so I know the plot quite well. So I'd say actually probably with Death Note it was bordering on 90%, but not all of it was because I could understand the Chinese. Some of it I could infer what was going on because I've already watched it before. Maybe try and figure out some of what the words are that I was listening to based on the context of what I already knew was happening, and I think that's actually quite useful. But then other shows I watched, Niederheidse, which is I'd highly recommend it. It kind of seems a bit like Black Mirror in the UK. You've got a bit of, it's focused on societal problems, specifically putting a lot of pressure from parents and schools on kids, but there's a little small supernatural part in each episode that kind of plays a little twist. But each episode for that was about an hour and a half long, so it was quite heavy going because it's quite a serious show. And then so that was about an hour and a half. I watched that with subs. I think I understood. It's hard to tell. Every episode was different. I watched it with Chinese subs and was pausing it and looking up the words I don't know because it's quite a famous show here in Taiwan. I wanted to try and get a better idea of what was going on so I could talk about it with my friends. But I think it's really hard to gauge. I think, especially because the episodes changed so much, I'd say for, I think, episode 1, 3 and 4, I had understood most of it, with the help of the subtitles and whatnot, maybe probably 80% plus with pausing it every now and again. I think episode 2 I found a bit confusing. They were talking about some other realm, and I think I kind of get the gist of it, and it was fairly good, but I think a lot of the subtlety of what they were trying to do got kind of lost on me there, so I'd maybe say that was more like 60-70%. And the last episode was probably similar. I'm not, it was a bit confusing to me. I think that it was based a lot around cloning and stuff like that, so I think there was a lot of more weird vocab and stuff I wasn't used to, so I think that was my convention was significantly lower in that. But yeah, I think when I go out with friends as well now, so normally I go out with a group of a few people. I went out hiking with my friend Susu yesterday, and we were speaking Chinese, and I can understand, like, it's normally a vocabulary thing, not a speed thing. I can understand basically everything she says, and I don't think she speaks that fast. And if there's something I don't say, I say, how do you say that, and she rephrases it in Chinese or just tells me what the English is, so I didn't get most of it that. But then on Saturday I went out with her and another friend, and when they start, I kind of understand bits and then go through phases of not really knowing what at all what's going on, because when they start speaking to each other really fast, they get progressively faster, and then before I have a chance to, like, say I'm thinking of a reply, I want to reply, and then before I've known it, the other person's already responded, and it kind of picks up speed, and I find that in a group situation much harder. I'm getting to the point now I can contribute to group discussions, at least, but it's not 100% of the time I'm sitting there, and I have to put in a lot more mental effort to follow what's going on. So if I'm contributing to the discussion, I'm speaking a lot, I find I can understand fairly well what's going on, but the minute I miss one thing, and then I go into catch up and I'm trying to figure out what's going on, because I'm not part of the conversation anymore, it kind of steers off into more tangents that I'm not entirely comfortable with, and then before I know it, I can be completely lost, and then when you get lost, it's really fucking difficult to kind of figure out what's going on and get back with the ball. But I think a lot of it now, I'm getting more and more used to the speed of how quick they speak, and a lot of it is just down to not having a big enough vocabulary to understand a wide range of topics. I think most of my problem now is vocabulary. So my reading, let's think. In terms of what we're doing in class, there's no problem at all. I don't think what I'm on lesson 2 of the third book now, and it's not that difficult, to be honest. I think what we do in class is kind of like, I haven't really done much revision for any of the tests. I just kind of write the homework and go back to reading or watching something. And I think because I'm used to immersing with stuff that's like meant for native speakers and hanging out with friends, when you go back to the dialogues in class, it seems so slow, and I think because I'm used to trying more difficult stuff comparatively, they were warning us how big the step up was from book 2 to book 3. I don't really think it's much a difference, because compared to native speed and whatever, it's still really slow. But for reading, I was going through Steve's book, and because I've read it before in Spanish and I kind of watched a lot of his videos in the past, I know about his general mindset in most of what he thinks and talks about for language learning. I kind of had a lot of I could understand it quite well. I'd say maybe, and the book's not too complicated either, I'd say maybe something like 80%. And this was with looking up a few words every page. But again, Steve's book's relatively simple in terms of books. You know, the chapters are really short. The vocabulary uses isn't particularly wide. You know, nothing too complicated. That's why I picked it for my first book. So I think about 80% is not too bad. And reading on the Kindle, I'm getting more used to dealing with ambiguity when reading. Because in the past, when I'm listening, I find it really easy to, you know, accept ambiguity because it goes so quick like that. You don't have time to stop and think about it. You just got to, you know, stay in the moment and try to keep concentrating. Whereas with your reading, it's right in front of you. So I find it really easy to get caught into the trap of having to look up every single word. Like, oh, I know that word, but I sort of know how it's pronounced, but I can't remember what the tone is. Maybe I'll look it up and check in the dictionary. And you know, if you do this for every word, I think you're just gonna get completely bogged down, and you never actually finish a chapter, let alone a book. So I'm getting better with dealing with ambiguity with that. There's a lot of words I kind of know what you mean. I don't know how to pronounce you, but I won't bother looking you up. And I think in that situation, it's fine, and then you can get cover more grounds. And then a lot of the time I said that, and then in the next sentence the same word came up again, and I'd be like, okay, well, you know, maybe I should look it up this time. So I think it can be quite difficult to find the balance of how much to look up and how much not to, because if you don't look up anything, you know, you're not. You can be getting used to and refreshing old stuff quite a lot, but it's quite hard to increase your vocabulary that way. But if you look up too much, you're never going to cover enough ground to actually get the exposure you need. So it's quite a difficult one. I'm struggling to find the right balance with it at the moment. But I think that if you pick something that's at your level, it's a lot easier. So I'd found, even if I looked at nothing in the book, I could still probably read it and enjoy it. But I still think it's worth looking up maybe a few words per page to especially the ones that come up again and again, because some of the ones you look up at the start of the book, they come up so much by the end of the book that it's just stuck in your head. So I find myself looking up more at the start and then maybe less towards the end. But yeah, so apart from that, I think class is going pretty well. You know, most of my tests recently in terms of listening comprehension, like the Ting share, are a dictation. The actual tests and whatever else have been, you know, hovering between about 90 and 95%. So considering when I first started, I think in my last video I said I started on 60, but that was actually wrong. I forgot. I looked back at my first time, and my first Ting share was actually 35%, which was absolutely terrible. But yeah, I think it's getting a lot better. So that's roughly where I am at the moment. In a future video, I'll talk more about the overall process of how the classes are structured and stuff for NTNU. And after that, we're going to be having about a week off of holiday. So when I'm not on at school, I might just, you know, bulk record a bunch of videos then, and then I can just kind of stagger the uploads later, so I can try and be more consistent, because I know I've been slacking behind a bit recently. But yeah, that's basically everything I wanted to say. I think if you have any questions or anything, then please let me know. And if not, I'll see you guys soon. Peace.